Good morning, Mr. Blake. My name's Amanda. I've got a couple of questions here for you today to establish your eligibility for Employment and Support Allowance.
I remember, Ken, one of the big problems that we faced right at the beginning, we talked a lot about this, was how to dramatise the bureaucracy. And I remember my heart falling when they had to start with a 52-page reform. And then when we looked at some of the questions, we began to find the chuckles rising, and we felt that might be a good start to the story.
Yes, I mean, I think the problem you faced, Paul, as writing the screenplay, was that when you first confront the material, it is a mass of information, of different cases. It's a vast morass of bureaucracy, and to find a way through the story that illuminated the process but without drowning in a sea of detail was very that was the initial problem. But as you say, as well as the obfuscation of the bureaucracy, conscious obfuscation, there's a black humour to it, because the questions are so irrelevant to the man's real condition, serious condition, but the questions asked have nothing to do with that. And yet the woman giving the interview has the full medical history of Daniel in front of her, but she's not allowed to ask questions about that. She's forced to ask questions that relate to this pedantic notion of what it is to be fit.
Yes, and you're right. I mean, just trying to get your head round the complexity of the welfare system was a huge challenge, really, and I suppose a lot of that was just journalistic, trying to understand the legislation. And of course what we found too was that there was a great difference between how disabled people are dealt with, people who are working part-time, 0-hour contracts. So to try and choose who the main character would be was one of the trickiest questions we had to face, as well as simplifying the huge bureaucracy.
Our company's been appointed by the government.
Are you a nurse? Are you a doctor?
I'm a healthcare professional.
The language is Orwellian, isn't it? This healthcare professional. So you don't know what exactly a qualification is. As Daniel says, nurse, doctor, consultant, who are you?
That works at Dream.
And it was also very important, I think, to point out in this first scene too, that the outsourcing of the assessment of our most vulnerable people is actually given to an American multinational called Maximus. And the stories I heard from doctors in particular were legion. And in fact, some of the cases were so extreme, if I actually had in the script, nobody would have ever believed them in a million years.
Of course, the starting point was that we had to remember that this is a film. It's a story about people, and it's not a polemic. It's there have to be real people in real situations, with funny things happen to them as well as serious things. So that once the research had been done, which Paul did most of, then the making of the film was really about making these characters live. It wasn't about the wider political picture. That came first and later. It was about making the lives of people really live.
I think it's a question that keeps coming up all the time, and it's very important to remember you just can't copy a screenplay off the street. In a way, you have to forget the research and just go back again to trying to find who the main characters are, some complexity in those characters, their backdrop, the premise, and then a rough idea of the narrative. In a way, you're informed by the research, but that doesn't give you the answer to these questions, and that's a bit you just have to sit down and hope for the best with a blank piece of paper.
When can I go back to work?
Well, not yet, that's for certain.
It was a great stroke of luck finding Dave. He was he's from Newcastle, as you can hear, and he's from the part of the city where we did most of the filming. He's works as a stand-up comic now, and a very successful one, but he started his working life as a building worker, bricklayer, so he knows the context of the story very well. He knows it from the inside. He doesn't have to study it. It's just remembers his previous self.
Now then, son, how are you doing?
Right.
How's the old ticker?
Yeah, you know, my marathon days are over, but you know,
It makes me laugh watching this scene now, Ken, after listening to Damien Green yesterday in Parliament. This is the 1st of November 2016, condemning the film and saying it bears no resemblance to reality. And as I watch this scene now, I just remember so many stories of people who are much sicker than Daniel Blake here, and their faces come to mind as we watch this.
So, do you reckon you'll get back to Ferguson?
Well, it's good when you get a reply from politicians like Damien Green, because it shows the arrow's hit its mark, and that's all you can hope for when you're doing a film, is that it's true to the situation that people will recognise, and he knows it's true. So he has to fight back, but it's good to draw blood.
And I should say for our foreign listeners that Damien Green is the Secretary of State in the government in charge of the Department of Working and Pensions.
In other words, he's responsible for the plight that many of the people you'll see in the film are in.
And we'll talk about the propaganda the government has generated later on in the film.
One of the people who have attacked the film have said how unrealistic it is that a working class man would enjoy classical music, and it shows the patronising attitude that people have. I think that was in the Times newspaper, organ of the nation. Of course, it isn't classical music; it's Radio 2 style, and it is the actual music that precedes the weather forecast.
This is the shipping forecast. A tribute to all insomniacs who are awake at 1:45 in the morning. That's when it's played. So this is the moment when people's lives are thrown into absolute confusion, and this misery can really go on for months and months and months, and it starts with the fear of a brown envelope. And I don't know how many people I spoke to who said they could feel their hearts jump and they could just break out in a sweat when they saw the brown envelope from the government, because they knew what was coming.
This number is for benefit inquiries only. If you are calling to make a new claim to benefit, please redial 0800.
And this is very, very important too, because again, there's a great challenge of trying to dramatise the bureaucracy. And people face this misery, hours and hours on the phone, which they pay premium rates for. And of course they have the torture of Vivaldi listening to this. And again, it was a moment where we thought we could really give texture to the bureaucracy.
Please hold and we will answer your call.
I think it's Vivaldi on the synthesizer. The poor man must be spinning in his grave, listening to his music being mangled to punish the most vulnerable people.
I understand he died in poverty as well. Maybe he's a kindred spirit. I spoke to a young single mum outside a Jobcentre in Dundee, and she said she waited on one occasion over 2 hours on premium rate to try and get through.
I'm wagging me dog.
I knew it was you bringing your dog around here shitting all over the place.
Oh, shut your mouth, you stupid baldy bastard.
Oi, if I come in, I'll rub your bloody face in it, man. Take it to your own place and let it shit run there. Can I get a bag and clean that up?
Tell you what, you talk shite.
Yeah, look, you just get a bag.
Well, we can't blame the government for this one.
Will you?
Yeah, I'll come and shite in your garden, shall I?
Shut up.
Hello?
Thank you for waiting. Please continue to hold and we will answer your call as soon as possible.
Yeah, Dan's a man like many people of his age and background who learned a skill, a craft as a young man, and would expect that skill to last a lifetime. Now work is much more insecure, casual agency work, 0 hours and all the rest. So the security of a fine skill honed over many years is now less valuable. And that's the way work has gone, from security to insecurity.
Jesus Christ, that's longer than a football match. It'll cost a fortune.
I'm sorry, sir, but it's been very busy.
There must be some mistake. I've got a serious heart condition. I'm in rehab and the doctors told us I can't get back to work. No, I was getting the benefits fine. until that bloody assessment.
I see you've only scored 12 points and you need 58 to obtain better.
We had to be very careful in the people who played the parts for people implementing the system, like Amanda, who was in the very first scene over the credits, and here now David Murray, all people who were accustomed to dealing with the public and who had the right approach of politeness, but the weariness of having done it hour after hour every day of their working lives. Because I think there's a special way of dealing with the public when you know the public is going to be frustrated, hostile, and vulnerable. And so we were very careful to find people who would capture that tone of voice.
And what was also very interesting was the language that they use: mandatory reconsideration, the decision maker. Some people actually thought we just made this up, but this is the language that they do use. And what drove people crazy was that the mandatory reconsideration had no time limit whatsoever, and they'd have to wait for a phone call. And again, that's not apparent if you just read the legislation. You've got to do the digging around. And I got this information from welfare rights officers who had to deal with the bureaucracy day in and day out. And it's that lived experience that drove people to distraction. Forms sent off to the wrong places, not told about it, months and months waiting, and again it would just wear them down.
It's a calculated inefficiency which serves a political purpose. They know it's inefficient, but they're quite content with that. They choose it to be inefficient so that the time will pass and you are worn down. It's inefficiency for a political end.
You have to apply for employment and support, get an assessment carried out.
Well, I've done that, but they've knocked us back.
Right, well, if you've been deemed fit for work, your only option is Jobseeker's allowance. I'll proceed with the appeal on employment and support.
This is a really key moment in the script here, because we're setting out the terms of reference, and Daniel Blake finds himself in this no man's land because his doctor says he's not fit to work. He's failed the assessment through Maximus, and so now the only way to get benefit is to look for work for 35 hours a week. And again, you've no idea how many cases we came across, much worse than Daniel's. Came across one particular case in Edinburgh where someone was dying of cancer and 3 other major illnesses, and he was deemed to be fit for work.
Computers, I'm dyslexic.
You'll find it online, sir. I must ask you to leave now.
And I actually spoke to an expert in dyslexia, and they said the helpline was online as well for help with dyslexia. I mean, you basically couldn't write it.
But it's conscious. I think this is the point. It's not a mistake. It's a conscious decision to drive people out of the system.
I'm just feeling dizzy,
Now, this is another very important point in the story here too, because we spoke to a lot of whistleblowers, that is people working inside the Department of Work and Pensions, who spoke to us anonymously about the bullying that they received from management, and we'll talk about this later. But we thought it was very important not to demonise them, because they were suffering bullying from their own management. And if they didn't do what they were told, they were put on something called a PIP, a personal improvement plan, and we found out that something like 40% of people in job centres had suffered from this.
Thomas, you sit here and drink your water, Pat.
Anne, played by Kate Rutter, is a very fine actress and is from Sheffield, but a real joy to work with.
Decision on whether they're going to sanction you. I'm not actually making the decision, they're going to do that, and then if they do decide to sanction you, then you will take a 40% cut in your
I know what it is, I
benefits.
don't need you to explain it to me. I'm
right,
not
well,
aware.
there isn't anything else anybody can do today,
Well,
so what
there
I'm
is,
going to have to do is look, I think
decided that you're going to put me in for a sanction.
And this job centre worker is Sharon Percy, who's another terrific person that we were very pleased to have in the film.
And I remember Sharon knew a lot about it from her, from her own colleagues, and she knew what it was like inside the DWP.
I'm sorry, look, but you're going to have to...
I don't, yeah, all right, thank you. Take your hands off me.
Another remarkable security guard there who told me brilliant stories about Newcastle.
I'm just explaining what's happening here.
And we had a big decision, Ken, too, about having the family, didn't we? Maybe just how the family makeup would be.
Yes.
I've never been to Newcastle before. We've just moved up here from London.
Yes, calculating the ages of the kids, so that they'd be absorbed in the film, and just catching the moment when their eyes were just doing not too many takes so that they were engaged in what was happening, because obviously if you do it over and over again, it's not new to them.
Yeah, and we're very lucky to get Dylan and Brianna, the two young kids who were marvellous.
I understand, right? But what I gather now is the decision maker. The decision maker's going to be sending you a letter through the post. You're going to have to wait for that, and then you're going to...
My kids have got to start school tomorrow. I've got about 12 quid in my purse.
Do you know what
All because you can't just calm down and listen.
Stephen Clegg is a policeman from the area who did us proud. He's the floor manager. Yeah.
Again, he's got the technique for dealing with a disturbance, and the use of language is very precise by him, and terrific.
There you go. Now you can go back to your desk and let us sign on and do the job that the...
And this was very important that we got this right, because we're making big allegations here against the Jobcentre setup. And I heard stories from whistleblowers again of people being sanctioned. Sanctioned means that you lose your benefit for turning up late. And one person told me he knew of a case where someone turned up 1 minute late and was sanctioned. And another case in Clydebank where someone turned up 5 minutes late and their whole family was sanctioned. So sanctioned means you just have nothing to... No resources at all to buy food. So it's a sentence to hunger.
Please, come on, get out.
She needs help, man.
Let's get going.
Just let us sign on.
Let's get going, all right?
Please. I don't know what's wrong with you.
I got asked to leave a job centre myself when I just asked a few polite questions, and a very aggressive floor manager threw me out. And despite my good manners, was very upset.
It's very interesting the secrecy around in job centres. I mean, you can walk into a police station and and see how it is. Policemen are allowed to play policemen in films in their off-duty moments, but job centre staff are not allowed to speak to people in doing our job. They're certainly not allowed to be in films as job centre people, unlike the police, and the secrecy that surrounds it should make us suspicious.
And I think they've got a lot to hide, Ken, because again, from the whistleblowers...
But just a moment. Here's our old friend. We always try and have a dog who has a slight disability, and here she was here.
Did we not win the Palm Dog in Cannes?
We won the Palm Dog.
Yes.
And the dog is Shia. Give her full credit. The dog won the Palm Dog at Cannes, and we were pleased to award the dog with, the prize, which was a red collar. And when we went to Newcastle for the first showing of the film.
It'll be a PhD thesis in that one day, I think. I should say this is really important, because this is this question of Katie coming up to Newcastle. We found out in the year before, the film, the recent research has shown that in the previous 3 years, something like 50,000 families have been moved out of London to, outer boroughs or other cities. And again, this reflects the crisis that's happening in London. And that's brilliant when you find information like this for a screenplay, because as soon as we introduce Katie, we've already introduced, very, very complex ideas about what is happening in the big picture, but it's all just sitting there under the surface. So that was very, very important that Katie had just come up from London. And of course, that means people break up with their families, their schools, their networks. They're often very, very isolated. And again, this is affecting thousands of families.
Again, from a narrative point of view, we wanted two characters who would have strike up a friendship and be in their own way quite isolated, so that they would look to each other for some comfort, for some friendship, and reveal each other in how they spoke, because it's through friendships through relationships that people will talk about their situation. So that the dynamic of the relationship was important from the storytelling point of view.
And it was quite useful for Hayley, who was just a brilliant actress, just so smart and such a range. But I wrote out a history of her background with her previous partners and relationships and what happened to her in London. And I think that helped her when she came to just start the film now in Newcastle. So we all talked together a great deal about our history and our background.
Good news was, it was a flat. Bad news was, it was up here.
And they couldn't give you anywhere near your family?
No, not in London. They're moving out.
Yeah, Hayley's from South London and trained as an actress at Rose Bruford and has done some very fine work and was, like Dave, was a joy to work with and gave a lot in imaginative contribution and commitment, really. Absolute commitment.
Now, and they've each got a room of their own. I'm going to get a part-time job, and then I'm going to go...
That was a great problem for families in London because they literally did live in one room. So the effect on young kids was very, very severe and had caused great problems for their behaviour and mental health. To say nothing of the poor mum or dad.
Good on you, lass. It's bloody freezing in here. That must be short. Right, where's your fuse box?
There's nothing on the meter. The kids are starting school and I wanted to get them some nice new clothes. And I thought I was going to get me money tomorrow.
Right. I'll bring me tools round and I'll sort this place out for you.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, of course I will. Shouldn't take long.
Right. Thank you.
The stereotype of single mothers and people who need financial help is that suits the right-wing press is that people are feckless, they're work shy, they don't care about anything apart from either, I don't know, cigarettes or a big television or something like that. And of course the reality is far from that. And we're battling perceptions put out by the right-wing tabloid press or echoed by BBC and ITV that this is what people are like. Of course they're not. And there's television programmes on Channel 4 and Channel 5 and other stations that pick the saddest cases of people maybe with a weight problem, maybe with an addiction problem, and they're made to represent all people who need financial help. And it's such a malicious and malevolent thing to do. But of course it serves a political purpose, because if you think people on benefits are somehow less than you, then you can ignore them. And the perception is the majority of people think that a quarter to a third of benefits are claimed fraudulently. Actually, it's 0.7%. It's tiny, and there are 10 times more benefits not claimed than are claimed wrongly. So that perception is one we were fighting.
Yeah. Which is drowned, of course, by the tax is not paid. In this particular scene, though, we just felt that the screenplay and the story and the film just had to breathe. And it's lovely when you can connect up disparate ideas. And we came across this wonderful young lad, Art Scamp, who was organising the sale of trainers actually like this. He was in contact with someone in China and was selling the trainers on the streets. And it was a remarkable story, really, because it showed their competence and intelligence, and in a kind of comic way we introduced the whole notion of globalisation and people who have got great access to information and who could handle it, yet it's up against them. It's contrasted with Daniel, who simply hasn't touched a computer before. So there was a kind of a lovely interplay here, and Kemma and Stephen, who play the neighbours, are full of mischief, and it's good just to change the tone as well.
Me, you mean?
Honestly, Dan, I did mean to say, like, I get them sent to different mates, small packages, like, not attract too much attention. They usually get through.
I'm going to tell all my mates I knew both of you before you were arrested.
I think this young lad I met might be a millionaire or end up in prison. I don't know which yet. Yeah.
No more crap jobs. No more shit from that warehouse. You know what the bastards did this morning? Got us in at 5:30, unloaded one truck. Guess how long that took? 45 minutes. And you know how much I got paid? £3.79. Wasting my fucking time. It's worse than China. I'm gonna make a big one day, Dan. I'm serious.
Yeah, we did meet a lot of young lads who were on 0-hour contracts whose lives were thrown into absolute confusion, getting work one day, then none the next day, and the stories were legion again.
And I think that's the way the capitalist economies have gone, wanting labour that they can turn on and off like a tap. It makes it cheap, it makes people vulnerable, and it's the effects of harsh competition, where the big corporation will get the cheapest labour through outsourcing, through subcontracting, and getting the labour that they can exploit. Good for their profits, disastrous for the vast majority of people doing the work. And that's an issue that until Jeremy Corbyn's Labour Party came along, just hadn't been dealt with or tackled.
And again, it's the lived experience here that wears people down again. I mean, to try and sign on was difficult enough. But then to try and get help in a library, sometimes you'd have to make an appointment. Or to get help with an advisor, you might have to wait 2 weeks. So there were stages upon stages upon stages that just wore people down. And so many people just gave up.
The old fellow was just standing there, of course, as everyone who was passing, because we just tucked the camera out of sight.
And the wonderful city centre of Newcastle, which was stunningly beautiful.
Here we are, claim job seekers. Okay, so double click on that one. Right. And then we need to scroll right the way down here.
And the librarian is Jane Birch, who works in the library.
So you need to run the mouse up the screen, click into there and put your postcode in.
Run the mouse up the screen, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
I have some sympathy with Daniel here. I'm not very different myself.
What you do is,
As opposed to the wizard Mr. Loach beside me here.
Name for it.
so when you're moving your mouse, you see what I'm doing with my hand?
Aye, right.
Look at my hand.
Aye. All right, it moves like that.
And then continue.
Right, okay.
And then you start from there, okay?
Okay.
I'll leave you with it.
I mean, that's a political decision too, that people who don't know how to use computers are just totally cut off. I mean, a lot of the staff we met inside the job centres wanted to help people, but we were told it's digital by default. They want to reduce footfall, that is their terminology for human beings, and there's no reason why people couldn't be helped or set up an organisation where it could be done. So it's a political decision to make it as difficult as possible. That comes from the whistleblowers inside the DWP who told me that.
I mean, how do you get this down?
Right, so you're controlling this and you click on this bar.
Right.
And then you pull it down.
Oh, right.
And then you get...
What, do I hold that on there, do I?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, then I
On
can
the
just...
left side.
What, so I hold this and just pull that down?
Yeah, and click the left.
And click.
And of course they're closing down libraries in many places too. So we spoke to a lot of people too who, to try and get some advice, found it very, very difficult to get to a library where there was some support.
Yeah, libraries are being closed down just all the time. I mean, you keep hearing of local authorities that are forced to close almost all their libraries. And it's another sign in which all the things that we've built up over generations to make a civilized, decent society where people can share things collectively are just being stripped away. And people are being thrust into a kind of isolated, individualist attitude where everybody is your competitor, and the idea that we live together and share things as a community, as a society, are being stripped away. It's an attack on people as social, integrated beings, and people have to be atomized, isolated, vulnerable.
It was very important too that Dan was competent and smart, intelligent. I mean, he's actually trying to make this work. I mean, he's a smart man, he's had a life of work, he's done complicated jobs, and he is trying his very best now to deal with the computers. But what was remarkable too is when you came across so many people who had maybe perhaps mental health difficulties, they were thrown into the middle of this, and of course they could never even manage or attempt to do it like Dan was, and were totally pushed over the edge. Now, it's really interesting how the Tories have accused us, Ian Duncan Smith, who was the ex-Secretary of State, and now Damien Green, of being very unfair to Jobcentre staff. I mean, I don't know if these idiots actually watched the film before they reached an opinion.
I don't think they did.
And here we actually show in this film here the kindness of many people inside the staff. I mean, my 16-year-old son watched this film and he picked it up, so I don't understand why these two clowns who are running the department can't sit down and watch the film and just watch what is in front of their eyes.
Do you have a partner?
No, she's passed away.
I'm really sorry to hear that.
Thank you.
Do you have any dependent children aged under 20 living with you?
No, I don't.
It's really important we get this filled in because we need to get the process started.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Anne. Can I have a word, please?
All the people who are in this scene, apart from Kate and Sharon, who do most of the dialogue, are people who worked in job centres. So all the people sitting behind the desks are ex-DWP workers who have left because they are so disgusted by what they've been asked to do. One of them was a trade unionist who was active in the trade union. He said he never got any sign of promotion because of his trade union activity. Now, for a government department to discriminate against trade unionists in our name is really unacceptable and should be challenged.
And a big thank you to the PCS union who gave us lots of information and put us in contact with many people. They were very useful.
Absolutely. I think the PCS union has done a great deal to support Jobcentre staff who have felt victimised.
Oh, there you go. I'll put your tea down here.
So here we have chatting around the world.
Did you say Stanley?
Yeah, Stanley from Guangzhou.
Are you two winding me up?
Kem is a young musician from Newcastle who plays China, and a great lad, and we were very, very lucky to find him, and great fun with young Stephen Richards too, who plays his colleague Piper.
Are you taking the piss?
EPL is crazy.
We always try and have a bit of football in the films, and Paul wrote this scene, which amused us all. Stanley is actually played by Dan Lee, and he's on Skype from China. In actual fact, he was in a flat just a few doors away, but the two lads, I'm afraid I did tell them that he was actually in China, and so at the end of the scene, I said, "There's someone to see you," and in he walked, much to their surprise.
Again, someone slagged us off for saying this. We just totally made this up. But again, this came from stories from this young lad I met. That was the biggest, most creative decision of the whole story, Ken, wasn't it? Who to choose.
Yes.
And we focused on Charlie Adams after much consideration.
Yes, absolutely.
Not that I had any favourite for Scots, of course, but there you go.
Right, Dan, check your national insurance number.
Yep, that's okay.
Press that button right there, Bill Gates.
What, this one here?
That one there, send.
And this is a thing that was very important to us too in this story. Although we're up against the cruelty and systematic nature of the bureaucracy, what we found everywhere was just great kind of support and kindness and empathy from people, you know, from neighbours and later on in the food bank, and the amount of talent and competence that is out there, and the possibility of helping each other it's just very important, and just keeps people sane and helps both people.
I mean, it's interesting that I think our default position is to be a good neighbour, and yet the state, which acts on our behalf, does the opposite. But of course, it should be the reverse. The state should represent the best in us, not the worst.
No accident. That's the plan. And what doesn't, he'll just given up.
And that's bang on true, is to drive them down. Make it as difficult as possible.
Another moment of serendipity. This gentleman just happened to be passing as we were about to shoot.
Jesus, 55 minutes to hear all this again. Am I on a time warp?
Looks like a film director.
Proceed to the appeal or the mandatory reconsideration, so you have the call from the decision maker.
Well, can you ask him to phone us now? Because I've got no income, I've got no pension, and I've still got the bedroom tax.
I'll make a note on my screen, sir.
This is another thing that's a devastating effect in many people's lives, is the bedroom tax. There's no extra tax for people in big houses or extra rooms in their mansions or their big flats, but there is for people on welfare, and again that put people under great pressure, and no wonder 4 million households today are under severe pressure for buying enough food. And there's a little note there from Dylan's friends in his old school, good luck Dylan, with all the hand marks with his kids. And that's what was really, we forget about children breaking up all their really important relationships with school friends in another part of the country. So many of them were severely affected by that radical break with their friends.
Or sharks.
When we showed the film in the Lincoln Centre in New York, someone came up from the audience afterwards and asked me a really serious question about whether it really was coconuts or sharks.
I hope he gave him the right answer.
Yeah, the long thesis on it. Yeah.
I think he's missing his friends. But he also does it when he's angry. People never listen to him, so why should he listen to them?
Have you tried this at home, Paul?
Actually, I got this from a lovely man who actually did used to be a builder, and he was now facing sanction after sanction, and he told me this is a way to have insulation in your room. And that's the very important thing, but if you do the detailed research and do the journalistic work and listen to people about their lived experience, they will give you little jewels like this. So there are people actually doing this. It's not something you could really invent.
Nice and warm. Can you go into my tool bag there? There's a piece of cloth. Can you open it?
We loved the idea too that Dan would have just a creative and imaginative side, you know, beyond his work. And we thought a delicate way of doing this would be his love of carving and a way to calm him down, and he just gave you some insight into Dan's personality.
New room. Now,
Thank you.
where should we put it?
Up there, maybe.
Up here. Okay, hang on.
And we came across a lovely group in Newcastle who
Yeah, what do you think?
who were doing woodwork and teaching.
They look like
Lots of young people, new skills, and they helped us out with this, and they were a terrific group.
I like these candles.
And again, this is another story from the same man who was facing sanction after sanction. And there were many people we met who were choosing between heating and food, and so many had decided not to use their electricity and were doing things like this.
4 hours. Put this small pot over, right? Block the hole off up there. And then I put this big pot over the top. Now it takes a little while, but it'll take the chill off the room. And if you just put your hand over there now, you'll feel it, Daisy. If you just put your hand over there, you'll feel it starting to warm up. Huh? Can you feel it? Yeah?
A little bit.
What about you?
Yeah, a little bit. Were you a soldier, Dan?
Is that a soldier? Oh, more dangerous than that. I was a carpenter.
Right, grab's ready.
Yay!
Go around that way then, Dylan. Good boy. It's yours, Bob. Right, put the sweaty on there then.
I actually love this moment coming up now with Hayley, and just shows you just how terrific her instinct is. I think she's just a marvellous actress, and the way she underplays moments sometimes gives it such tremendous power.
I had mine earlier, I'm just going to have a bit of fruit.
You said that yesterday and the day before.
All right, eat up then.
Looks delicious, but you know, it takes a wee bit early for me.
Please, Dan. It's the least I can do.
Thank you, Katie.
All right.
Such a delicate relationship between the two. They both understand each other, but it's all just sitting under the surface, and I think they both did it beautifully.
Yes, I think, but when you're directing, working with actors like this, it's great luxury because you have to say very little. I mean, usually the less you say, the better. But knowing that they're absolutely authentic and true, as Hayley and Dave are. Also worth saying a few things about the people who did all this. Linda, the designer, and working with Fergus, our long-time friend and collaborator, just get everything right. I mean, it should not look designed, but actually everything about the flat was chosen and and is not there by accident, but it should look absolutely authentic, like the performances. And all the choices were made by Linda and from Fergus at the outset, and they're both terrific. And the other people in the crew, there's a first assistant that I've worked with for many years, David Gilchrist, and the preparation for everything for the scene, the fact that everybody's always ready, the fact that people are just in the right frame of mind, is work that no one is ever aware of, but fundamental to working well, and a good humour within the team, and an easy relationship, so that all the energy is creative energy. It's not negative, and that's down to the skill and the delicacy and the tact and the efficiency of having a good team, led by Davy, a terrific friend and work colleague, and always underestimated.
Yep. And all beautifully captured by Robbie Ryan, who we've had the good fortune to work with now in several films.
Yes, I mean Robbie Ryan's the cameraman. He's often worked with in a handheld mode, but we've chosen a more a very still way of working, where the camera is usually on a tripod, and you use lenses that correspond to the human eye, maybe a little sometimes a bit looser as here and sometimes closer, but so that you feel that the camera is like an observer in the room. And the Robbie's great strength, framing is his strength, of course, but also lighting, and the dilemmas or the choices that the light has to look authentic to the place, but it also has to photograph people in a sympathetic light. So here it's not flat. In fact, it should be sympathetic. You said the light is striking the side of their face away from the camera, which makes it more interesting. If it was just flat on, it would be less sympathetic, less interesting. But again, that shouldn't be something that the audience is not aware of, but it's a technique that hides the achieving the right result, but not a technique that shouts at you, "Look at me."
And all complimented too with the great work of Ray Beckett and his sound team.
Yes.
And Ray has worked with us, I think he's worked with you, Ken, since time immemorial, really.
Yes, since Noah was a lad. No, I think we first worked together in 1990, I think, or 91.
Certainly before Johnny Come Lately Like Me came along.
You need to have an up-to-date CV in order to help you look for work.
Yes, but Ray's great skill, again, is to get absolutely pristine dialogue. And it's quite normal in films that some lines are recorded after the shooting, and actors come in and do what's called post-sync or ADR, and they look at the film, and as the lips are moving, they say the words again. We never do that. We haven't done that. Don't we use a single word of post-sync in this film, and that's down to the skill of Ray and his team, and that's that's an extraordinary skill, really, and again, it's the technique that hides the skill.
Do you know how many applications they got from that? Over 1,300. Fact. So, what does that mean?
We should all be drinking a lot more bloody coffee.
Yeah, do you want to share that with us?
I said we should all be drinking a lot more bloody coffee then.
Yeah, the boom operator was Neil Skillen, and Alex Lewis worked with him. Good lads.
There's not enough jobs, fact.
Yeah, well, you'll be at the back.
This is key, this scene here too, because so many are forced to go and do these CV workshops, and sometimes it's a totally useless procedure. I talked to a woman in Liverpool who had a PhD, and she was forced to go on one of these courses as if she couldn't do an up-to-date CV. And what is remarkable too is we showed the example there of Costa. That's a real case. There 8 people did apply. 1,300 people did apply for 8 jobs. And in some parts of the country, I remember in Hull, there were 40 people chasing one job. So to look for a job for 35 hours a week was like Sisyphus, pushing a rock up a hill.
John Sumner's the instructor, and he absorbed the situation very well, and was very, I think, very persuasive.
Demanding CV videos sent in by smartphone. So how about that? Okay, let's make a start.
Good old Dave. I think some people forget that when you're on Jobseeker's allowance, if you're under the age of 25, you only get paid £7.30 per day for every single one of your needs: heating, food, clothes, entertainment, travel. So the idea that people don't want work, or don't want to supplement their income, it just doesn't bear up when you actually speak to people. Every place you go, all these people are looking for work and they want work. But again, the great myth is that they're work shy and want to sit on their backside. I've just never met anybody like that.
That was echoed again by Damien Green, the Tory minister, who talked about the life sitting around on benefits. I mean, it's propaganda, absolute propaganda.
Excuse me, mate. Do you have that ticket?
It's true, people can get demoralised, people can get broken by the system, people can feel that there's no place for them, and reach a kind of stage of depression. But the idea that, when kids, when they're growing up, they don't want to take part in society, they don't want to be in a social situation doing things, of course, is nonsense.
And this is another thing, language is very, very important. They say, the Tories, and they say we represent the aspiring people, as if the Daniel Blakes of this world, or people who end up in 0 contracts, don't aspire to make their lives better for their family and their children. And again, it's how language is used to mystify.
There you go.
Cheers. Daniel.
Hi, that's me.
I'm Harry Fyther here. We've got plenty of experience, I've got to be honest. I'm absolutely sick of young'uns. All the time they don't turn up, when they do, they cannot be arsed.
That's Harry Edwards as Dave Turner, who's had been a firefighter, and was a real pleasure to meet.
I remember he was terrific in improvisations, very impressive.
He was.
Yeah. Now, Ken, I'll never forget the day we actually went along to this food bank. It was a church in Newcastle, the Honourable St Bede, and we came in January, very cold January, to start our investigations in Newcastle. And the minister there told us that in the Thursday before Christmas, over 2,000 people had turned up at their food bank. And I should say too, it was a great source of information up and down the country. We went to food banks in Scotland and in various cities in England. And what is remarkable is, again, Mr. Neil Cooling, he's an interesting character, he's a director of the Department of Work and Pensions. He says there are more food banks now because people want to maximise their economic choices, and there's more people going because they want to maximise the economic choices, as if there's no relation to sanction and poverty. Again, the use of language to mystify.
And of course the food people get from food banks will last them 3 or 4 days, and you have to be referred. There's the reference from a doctor or a social worker or somebody at a job centre. You can't just turn up, and then the food will last for a few days, and then you can't return for a month, 2 months. So we shouldn't imagine that people can just turn up and get food forever. They can't.
And I think this has been a great change, Kenny, even since the time we've been making films together. I remember when we did Sweet 16 and My Name is Joe in Glasgow, Pure Communities. There was no such thing as food banks then.
No.
And here we are now, the year after we've shot the film, and the recent figures show that food banks are on the rise again. And I think there's a great contradiction there, because I think it does suit the Conservative government to rely on charity instead of rights.
Yes,
But at the same time, people really are going hungry. We came across people feeding biscuits to their children after being sanctioned. And again, I think it shows again there's great kindness and empathy of people underneath, but the fact that they're necessary is a stain upon us.
Yeah, and what marks their generosity, the people who run it, is they talk about helping people like Katie do their shopping. They don't talk about handouts. They give people the dignity of helping them do their shopping, and I think that's very a real understanding of how not to humiliate people, how to treat them with dignity. I wish the government could learn that lesson.
And I think you said something very important there, the notion of humiliation. I remember being outside several food banks and seeing people hovering around the entrances, totally humiliated and shy and fearful about coming in, and obviously desperate. You can tell with their skin and the way they hold themselves, and then just the kindness of people at the door to invite them in. And I remember an older woman I met in Glasgow who'd worked all her life and had fallen to ill health, and I remember her fierce anger at the thought that she should be described as a scrounger. She was absolutely livid, and it really helped me when I came to write the screenplay. And it was in this very same food bank I heard this story about a starving mother who hadn't eaten for 3 days, who opened a can of beans.
Hayley, it's all right. It's all right. Do you want a drink? Oh, really sorry.
What's the matter?
I remember, Ken, when you shot this, you wondered if you'd got it all. And, well, I think it's a remarkably powerful scene. I think you just judged it perfectly. And I think Hayley, again, was wonderful.
Yes, Hayley's wonderful here. We didn't, only she knew that this was going to happen. Dave didn't know, or Jackie who was helping her with the food didn't know, and nobody knew. So it was, we felt we just had to spring it on people to get an authentic experience.
And I think what was very hard for the real mother in this incident I heard about too was when her teenage daughter saw her, and there was the humiliation of the daughter too, which sparked off the mum, and which sparked off an incredible reaction from the volunteers, who said they were all crying and ended up in a circle, cuddling each other. And again, it shows you just profoundly empathetic people can be, and how angry they get when people are in these situations. It's remarkable to think that hunger is such an issue in the fifth richest country in the world.
Well, it's used as a weapon, isn't it? Hunger is used as a weapon, because if you're hungry, you're not going to cause trouble, are you? You're easy to discipline, easy to keep in your place. And hunger is used as a weapon now.
Yes. And that's why it shouldn't be called a sanction, it should be called a sentence to hunger. Prisoners actually get better rights because at least they have an appeal procedure that works properly. Here, by administrative decision, these sentences to hunger are dispensed so easily.
And as soon as people are sanctioned, their money stops. So they don't continue to receive it while they appeal. The money stops. So they immediately their lives are in chaos.
In some circumstances they can apply for a hardship allowance, but in some job centres, workers and whistleblowers told me, managers had told them not to tell people about the possibility of applying for hardship allowance, which was like something like 40% of their benefit.
I am alright, mate, aye. Listen, we're getting there. Well, we're doing the pub, the niche. There's a load of gun. There's a band on, you know. I'm going to sing a few pints. Do you fancy coming down?
I could murder a pint made by a dash and I've been totally off the sauce.
And I think what happens too, when people do run out of money, they become isolated. You know, Dan is a proud man who's always had his own money. And so I found the scene very poignant, his friends inviting him down for a drink. But he could never ask his mates to buy him a drink while he's being sanctioned or short of money. So in many ways, people become very proud, very, very isolated. And I think that's how they get away with it, because a lot of this misery is isolated.
You should soon receive a letter which states that you have been deemed fit for work and not entitled to employment and support allowance.
And again, this is the bureaucracy at its best. He's supposed to get this call before the letter, and it didn't end up that way, so people end up in delays and circles and more frustration.
I should have said it was Gavin Webster who was in the street. He was another stand-up comic and a great man to work with.
Hello?
Hi, is that Daniel?
Yes, it is. Hi.
Hi, Daniel. It's Harry Edwards here. We spoke the other day at the concert.
Oh, hi. Yeah. Yeah.
How are you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah. I'm fine, thanks. Yeah.
Listen, I tell you what, mate, I've been going through all the CVs I've had handed over the last couple of weeks, and I really like the look of yours. You've got the experience I'm looking for. I was wondering if you could possibly pop by tomorrow and have for an interview.
I'm really sorry, Mr. Edwards, but you know, my doctor's told us I can't come back to work yet.
So you're not actually looking for work then?
Well, it's hard to explain, you know.
So, well, what's the point of having your CV if you're not looking for work?
Well, it's the only way I can get my benefits, you know.
Benefits? So you prefer to get benefits and do a day's graft? You know, I thought you were a genuine bloke. You know, I've spent a lot of time going through them all. I was going to put some graft your way. You've just wasted my time completely. Why don't you just sod right off?
Listen, that's not...
Again, humiliation is just something that's really, really important, run through the whole story. And this is what we found again and again and again. People forced into this cul-de-sac, applying for work when they couldn't do it, and then feeling absolutely humiliated and ashamed that they were deemed to be shirkers. And the pain for people, the mental pain was just... I remember faces now as I speak. And of course, another thing I should mention too, in many of the food banks, you know, there are no hygienic products for women, so things like tampons and, you know, were not covered, and they're very, very expensive.
I'm interpreting.
Okay, you have, and I've seen you, so if you'd like to come with me.
No, I've got a receipt. I've just... The lady there's just
and if
served me.
everything on your receipt is all you've got on you, then there's no problem. If you'd just like to come this way at the manager's office, please.
No, I'm not going to the manager's office. You
Okay,
just
look,
stood
I can
there
lock
and
the
watched
door.
the lady's just served me
I
and
can
I've
lock
got a
the door
receipt.
and call the police if that's what you'd like.
Talking about locking the door and calling the police.
Okay, would you like to come with me to the manager's office,
No, because
please?
you've just watched me...
Okay, and we'll sort that out. Okay, and if everything on the receipt's in your bags, then there's no
you don't
problem.
need to shout at me.
Okay, if you'd like to come this way.
She's just... You've just stood there and watched
Okay, and we'll sort
her
it out.
serve me, didn't you? And she's given me a receipt.
Just this way.
This reminds me of a case we came across, Ken. Do you remember a man who'd been sanctioned? He hadn't eaten for 8 weeks. He stole some meat and ended up in prison for 6 weeks. You know, an incredible cost to the taxpayer. I mean, just absolutely bonkers.
Katie?
Katie Morgan.
Katie Morgan.
I'm really sorry. I haven't done anything like this before. I paid for these.
Yeah, it was Mickey is the guard Ivan, and this is Neil, the supermarket manager. Again, you know, you look for people who would just seem dead true and part of the place, authentic, and I think we were lucky with everyone we found really in Newcastle. But it's a great city. It's very full of talented people. Mind you find that everywhere, but it was particularly true in Newcastle.
I think sometimes when people are faced with aggression, they can find the strength, you know, to confront it, and it brings out the fight in them. But sometimes dealing with kindness is a thing that really knocks people for six.
I'm sorry about that. I am.
And I think, again, it taps into this notion of humiliation and hurt.
If you need money, I can help. Okay? A nice girl like you, I can definitely help. That's my number. My name's Ivan. Okay?
Just showed the film in Moscow, and someone was very upset that we called this guy Ivan and thought there was great significance to it.
Why did you call him Ivan?
Damned if I remember. Running out of names. Dylan was fantastic, wasn't he? I love this moment here. I love how you capture these little improvised moments there. You know, you can never write it. It's just gorgeous, and you catch it.
It's the concentration of little boys, isn't it? There you are. Usually putting their tongue out.
Yeah. I've got a 9-year-old. I think you can see where that came from.
this, Dan?
It's a cassette.
What's a cassette?
Plays music. Yeah, I'll show you. Right. You pop that in there. Oh no, you got to take it out the case first. You'll not play like that. Right, you put that in there like that, yeah? And press that button there.
I wish we could get back to that, really. Pick out the music physically and stick it on. And sailing by once again to ease us. It's really strange. Molly really touched me when we were trying to imagine this story, really. We don't really see her, but she was a big presence.
Yes. We cast someone to play Molly, and they went for a day trip with a photographer, Josh Barrett, who's again has been an ever present in the team.
Yeah.
Great photographer.
So how'd the interview go?
Nothing's working out with the school times at the minute. So I went to some of the agencies and put my name down on the waiting list because I could do cleaning in the morning. Went to some hotels, went round all the cafes. Must have walked for bloody miles.
Well, I can pick the kids up for you, you know, till I start work again.
Dan, the answer is coconut.
Correct.
She's talking about coconuts.
Yeah? You tell your mum? Oh.
Go on. When I was maxing my ball on the stairs.
What stairs?
The stairs in our house.
Yeah.
Dan asked me a question.
What question did he ask you?
What kills people more, coconuts or sharks? And I said coconut.
And you got it right. Is that right?
Yeah, it's right.
Is that Molly?
Yeah, that's Molly, yeah.
Let's see how that goes. Show me that one.
Molly. Like the name. What was she like?
She was special. Yeah. She was special, Daisy.
I love the way Dave
Not easy.
does this whole scene. I think
She was up one minute, down the next.
he's very convincing.
Smart and funny.
And I think it was very important, the background to Daniel Blake, that, you know, that he was caring for someone in the past, because in many ways I think when you are caring for someone, you can become isolated. And if he'd been an extrovert and been out all the time and had lots of friends, you know, he might not have been in the same situation later on that he found himself. But because he'd been so private, I think it made sense.
Where she'd end up next. I mean, the music helped her. But then she'd hit the rocks. Well, we sailed to tonight, Dan. That was our little joke.
It's interesting in the relationship because I think men and particularly someone like Dan would say things like this to a woman, particularly, you know, someone who shows warmth and friendship, like Katie. Whereas of course he wouldn't say it to the people he worked with, and men will often stay private when they would benefit from being able to talk to someone. So I think Dan, that's the value of the friendship to Dan, is that he can share this in a way he wouldn't be able to do with lads he worked with.
I think it's important too that some critics have talked about it's like a father-daughter relationship, and it's not. You know, it's a chosen relationship, and they've made friendship and supported each other.
I thought it would be a relief when she passed away, because it was difficult to go into work, you know, when she was ill.
And, you know, Hayley felt that strongly, and she was very articulate about it in many of the interviews.
To take over your life, you know.
Yeah, and you forget your own.
Yes, because it doesn't have the complications of a father-daughter relationship, where there's, particularly from the daughter or son's point of view, where there may be feelings of guilt or trying to escape from a shadow or the paternal responsibility that the father feels. That there's none of that complication. It's a relationship between equals, really, equal friends.
And I think it's important too in a story where you have some insight into people's hinterland, you know, where they've come from, what their previous relationships are, and but it's again, it's a seek to try and dramatise it. It's not just like tagged on information. And I think it works here because there's a growing intimacy and you care for it and they're both curious about each other.
Well, that's not good enough, Mr. Blake. And how do I know you've actually been in contact with all these employers?
Well, I walked around the town. I gave out my CV by hand.
Prove it.
How?
Well, did you get a...
Speaking to people outside job centres, going in for that meeting, again, it was a fear in people's faces about whether they would pass the test with the worker, about whether they'd actually done enough that week.
An appointment card. Did my head in, and I tried my best.
It's not good enough. Can I look at your CV?
Aye.
Did you not learn anything at the CV workshop?
Be surprised. Not good enough, Sheila.
There was great pressure on the workers inside the DWP to give out sanctions, and a whistleblower showed me his name and the list of all his fellow colleagues, how many sanctions had been carried out, and a covering letter from the senior manager saying that only the top 3 had carried out enough sanctions. And this is very, very important because the DWP leaders have gone along to Parliament and said there was no targets, but they're really telling lies. There's maybe no fixed number, but there was great pressure put upon them. And in fact, Mr. Neil Cooling, a man I mentioned earlier, talked that for many people it was a welcome jolt to get a sanction, a welcome jolt to be sentenced to hunger. And there was another leaflet they produced saying, you know, how people had benefited from it. And when journalists investigated it, they found out that the pamphlet was bogus. So this shows you how systematic the propaganda is.
It was bogus in the sense that the people they quoted didn't exist.
Yes.
They were just fictions to push the DWP point of view. But the people they quoted as though they were real didn't actually exist.
I'm off to the Bahamas. Now I'm just sick of the old stuff. I need a change.
Are you okay, Dan?
I'm fine, son.
You don't look okay.
No, really, I'm fine.
You haven't given us a row about leaving the rubbish house?
It was. I think he was very good, Keema. Had a lot of respect for him. He responded in a very truthful way to the situations, and there's a warmth to him and a good humour that I think is very beguiling.
Yeah, I agree.
60, 80, 100, 20, 40, 60, 80, 200. All right?
This is Steve Halliday doing the deal.
Very convincing.
No, that's it.
Again, the humiliation of people doing this, selling off their stuff to meet their bills. And again, I came across this in stories I heard from food banks.
Quality hand tools.
Any chance. I'll be going back to work soon enough.
Well, yeah, the offer's there. Now, these look nice. How much do you want?
They're not for sale, mate.
Does it ring up you change your mind? See you now.
I like these moments of pause where you just, no dialogue, and just see people reflect on their past, and I think they can just ease you right into the story.
Jonathan Morris, the editor, we worked together now for many years. We took a conscious decision to slow the pace down towards as the film went into the last third or quarter, and the fades down and which just allowed time to pass, and you hope allowed the time for the audience just to reflect on what they've seen, and it was quite a conscious change from the rhythm of editing that we've sometimes used in the past, which has been much more, which has tended to move forward at a faster rate. And while the cut between shot to shot hasn't changed, but nevertheless the pauses just allow the sense of slowing down, which of course is what Dan was experiencing. And it's you take a gamble, because the gamble is, have you created enough tension and enough concentration in the audience for them to allow that pause and still to hold their concentration?
I think those pauses are really important, because I think you can just gives the audience a time just to absorb the moment, and I think that's very important. Another thing that's really important too, I think, is just the effect on children. You know, just the consequences for them, these big decisions made by other people, whether it's a sanction or moving city, how it plays out in their lives. We didn't see them with their little friends, but I hope they're present in people's imagination.
Hello, is that Ivan?
It is, yeah. Who's that?
It's Katie, the girl at the supermarket. You gave me your phone number.
Okay, I remember you.
Yeah, I was ringing about the work that you were talking about.
I came across a young woman who confronted this choice, and what I found very, very interesting was she actually made contact with some people who were prostituting themselves in the area, and she made contact with 12 people who were closest to her, and of those 12, 9 of them had received sanctions. And I think that gave us the confidence to approach this aspect of the story, because it was a big decision for us.
But people who understood Katie's dilemma and in a way knew it from experience, have written, not to us but to the press, to say that there will be moral outrage at what she chooses to do, but where's the moral outrage about the poverty and the serious privation she undergoes that drives her to it? Where's the moral outrage there?
Hiya. All right.
Yeah.
Did they go down all right?
Any bother? Both fast asleep. How'd it go?
Yeah, it was good. It was good. It was single parent meeting. One of the mums came and spoke to me afterwards. She was really nice.
Ah, some good people around here.
Yeah. Make sure you take care of yourself, Dan, won't you?
Of course I will.
Right.
See you soon.
Good night.
Give me a look at the kids in the morning.
I will do. Thank
Bye.
you.
I mean, I think it's shocking news for Dan. I think he's massively confused. He doesn't know how to approach it. I think he takes refuge in work and activity here as he wrestles with the best thing to do. And I suppose here he is trying to make a bookshelf for Katie, because he knows really if she had her first choice and things were more sane, she'd be back to her books. And just the sound of Katie's voice just makes it all the worse for her.
Interview somebody about their work and she wants to speak to you. Oh, and they loved all your stories. She said that Dylan was just laughing and laughing. Loved to hear. He made me cry when she told me.
I mean, clearly Dan's invested a huge amount in the friendship and in the 2 kids. He hasn't had kids, so inevitably it's taken up a big part of his imagination, and by me being able to worry about someone else, it takes away the worrying about your own condition, because otherwise, you can fall into just self-absorption. But it has given him a strength by being able to worry for someone else.
And that was the first subliminal little bit of music as well. We can maybe mention the maestro later on.
come and see the girl?
Yep.
Do I pay you?
No, you pay the girl. It's left over.
Right.
This is a very challenging piece, really, Ken, for the actors. Remember your conversations with them both.
Oh no, don't.
And we just felt strongly that Katie wouldn't want to have any conversation at all. She just went out and straight away and just get away from it all.
Sorry.
No, this is cut off. This is separate. You need to get out.
Listen, I couldn't speak to you in the flat. I need to speak to you now.
Dan, please get out.
Katie, please, I need to speak to you. I just want to speak to you. Katie.
Dan, please, just go. Dan, please, I don't want you here. You just go, please.
I've built your bookcase.
What?
Your books.
Oh, Dan, please just go. Please just go. I don't want you here.
This is breaking my heart.
Dan, please just leave me alone. I've got 300 quid in my pocket. I can buy the kids fresh fruit. If you can't deal with it, I can't see you anymore. Because I've got to go back inside. Do you understand? I don't want to speak to you anymore. Don't show me any more love. She's going to break me down.
I think it's really important here to be faithful to the characters and faithful to the premise, faithful to the narrative, because there could have been an easier solution here, but I think the toughest one was the truest one, just given the way everything was set up.
I think it's the toughest line in the film, really. I think when she said, "I can't take any more of your love because it will break me," and I think that's about the hardening and the personal destruction that Katie chooses. Well, she is forced to choose in order to feed, to give the kids just the fresh food that she thinks they need. It's a very tough choice. And working with George Fenton, the composer, we thought there should be no music until right to the end, that it should be very stark and austere and simple, and there'd be no hint of manipulating people's feelings through music. That would be cheating somehow. We had to be absolutely spare and austere and simple and pared down. And George struggled, well, didn't struggle, but finding a way to do those last few, the few pieces of music there are right at the end, is obviously much harder than doing a score that begins at the beginning, because then you've got all kinds of instruments and themes and possibilities at your discretion. But when you just have to make one or two simple sounds, much tougher, much harder to do.
And I think this scene is key too, Ken, and I wish those two clowns again, who were Secretary of State for the Department of Work and Pension, would watch this, because she shows great humanity here, the worker inside the DWP. You clowns, watch this, please. Watch the clips before you make up your mind. But this is key here when Dan says, if you lose your self-respect, you lose absolutely everything. And I think he's just reached a point here where he's just ready to explode, really. If he doesn't do this, he goes under. And the art team did a great job setting us up here for various takes with this. Very complicated logistics, changing the borders in between takes, but they did a brilliant job. And I love, Ken, here how you just capture people on the street too. Just the buses going by, and there's a great moment coming up with a wee woman on a bus who sees it for the first time. And I love how you you catch these moments on the street.
Yeah, we had a few football supporters who came along to help with the chants that are coming up.
Because a mixture of people that are placed and people who are just on the street. There you are, I love that. See? I love that. And these were ex-workers from the DWP who were terrific too, absolutely marvellous.
That's Amanda on the right, whose voice you hear right at the beginning of the film.
Yeah, who's brilliant. They gave me great stories from inside too. And here we go, the famous selfie.
And we did arrange for the hen party to come, but it was quite chilly and they did get cold because it took us a few hours to do.
Well, yes, yes. And a lovely reference there to Mr. Vivaldi. I hope he doesn't take it personally. Yes, sir.
I cannot believe it, man. What have you done?
Here's Mr. Clegg again, doing us proud.
And Linda.
Yes, yeah.
To think about the consequences of what you've done here.
All I know, mate, is I didn't get my appeal date, I'll be here every day doing this.
Unbelievable. Every day?
Every day.
Tell you what, Ben, just phone the police.
I can't, listen, mate, I cannot believe this. No, this is out of our hands. We're going to have to phone the cops, man.
Well, you've done your job like you should have done.
And he is a cop, that's what makes me laugh with Stephen.
I cannot believe it.
Aha!
Yes!
There's our brilliant actor Malcolm.
Malcolm Shields.
I am Daniel. Yes. This is Daniel Blue.
Malcolm is a man of many parts. He's a dancer, was a very fine dancer, and with Scottish ballet. But here playing a more proletarian role.
Just back from Russia, and Malcolm is on the poster. Now, this is hilarious. I spoke to the policeman at the rap party, Ken. Now, Ken cast real police there to do this job. So when Malcolm comes up here and starts speaking to them, in the first take they were saying, "Beat it, mate, we're doing a movie, get out here." They didn't know. Didn't know he was a ballet dancer.
That preachy baldy cunt, what's his name? Ian Duncan, fucking what's his face?
Yeah. Well, I got as a 15 certificate, but you know what, it was worth it.
Well, God, listen, these are not going to be a fucking job anyway. Privatising you, all they fucking Tories, man. Aye, members of the fucking big club, aye. Fucking boss-eating twats. Daniel fucking Blake, pal. Hey, should be a statue.
We only lost the reference to the one-legged granny and the bedroom tags, but apart from that, he got it perfect. Well, yes, that definitely would have been me if we hadn't got the film made, I think.
So what happens now?
Right. This is a copy of the caution sheet. Because you fully admitted the offences and you've been of good character in the past, we're cautioning you for the offence of criminal damage in Section 5 of the Public Order Act. But please remember that these can come back and haunt you if you re-offend. So try to keep yourself out of trouble.
Aye.
See him out, please.
Thank you, Mr. Blake.
I do love these beautiful moments from George Fenton, our musician. I think it was really well judged, Ken. Just subliminal. I think Brianna does a terrific job here.
Dan! Come, I need to talk to you. We called you loads of times.
I did wonder here if the audience might think, he'd already passed at this moment in time.
Dan! Mum's been so sad lately. Why don't you speak to her?
And these little glimpses are terrific, I think.
Yes, well, it says something about his state, you know, the empty floorboards, the fact he's not there. So yes, we hope the audience don't know quite where he is until you see this shadowy presence.
And a tricky thing oftentimes is time passing when you're planning a story. So again, there's the sense that, you know, time had passed, and I think that's often one of the hardest things to get right. Robbie does a great job here too, the DOP.
It's cold out here. I'm freezing.
Please, Daisy. I'm not feeling very well.
I made you some couscous, and Dylan sent you his lollipop. He's really missing you too.
Just go, Daisy, please.
Can I ask you one question, Dan?
I think this is what turns him, really.
Did you help us?
I suppose so.
So why can't I help you?
Because I remember struggling with this in the screenplay, really, and the connection is really made through Brianna, the young child.
Sorry.
Through Daisy.
I'm really sorry.
And actually, it's the child who brings them together. Our sensitivity. I think sometimes we can underestimate how much children understand, especially children who grew up in that. And they're often very, very shrewd.
But I'm nervous about this.
It's only natural, Dan.
I just want it done, you know?
Yeah.
Yes, Roger Smith, our long-time friend and collaborator, who always looks at the screenplay when we've got a draft or two and makes shrewd comments, had wondered whether we needed a scene between Dan coming to the door and then Dan coming for his appeal. And I think we felt on balance that the audience could put two and two together, but it's one of those tricky choices that you're faced with before the film's been made, you know, to know what you need to tell an audience and what the audience can understand.
And yes, a big thanks to Roger, because it's wonderful to have a fresh pair of eyes who hasn't done all the research, who's not been involved in it, and he sees it cold, and he's often put his finger in the weak spots, and he's been a tremendous help.
Daniel, your appeal will be heard by a legally qualified chairperson.
Mike Laffey, who plays the welfare rights officer, is a solicitor who handles cases like this in real life, and again was a real source of strength to us when we were doing the scene. And having someone like in the film, you know that what you're saying is right, you know, because as well as Paul's research, someone is playing it who does this every day of his life. So it's a strength, because you know that it will be authentic.
Well, I've got one or two things I'd like to get off my chest, but will they listen?
It's the least they can do.
And can I go in with him?
I'll certainly ask. Would you like to do?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Okay, I'll certainly ask. No problem at all.
Again, the fear of people going to these meetings was palpable. I stood out, I sat in office one day, and you saw people under extreme stress because they knew that the whole future of their lives would depend on the next 45 minutes.
The man sitting, the slightly balding man, is the man who's speaking alongside me today. I think one other thing we should say before the film ends is that finding all these people, we owe a lot to Carleen Crawford, who does the casting, and she would find so many good people that, you know, and then we would see them together and make the final selection. But Carleen's legwork and the people she works with is really critical.
Just brilliant instinct, and brought us marvellous people. And encourage you along the way as well, because the casting process is so long. So tremendous work from her.
Can somebody phone an ambulance,
What is
please?
it?
999.
What is it? What is
There's
it?
a guy collapsed in the toilets. He's flat. Oh, 999. Somebody, please.
She's had a heart attack, yeah, 2 breaths.
Oh, Dad!
Just for 2 breaths out, please.
Is he breathing?
Unfortunately, thousands of people have died very close or just after these decisions are made, and it's heartbreaking to read the account of family members. And many of us do wonder, including a wonderful organisation, Black Triangle, who works with people who are disabled or suffering from mental illnesses, what a great effect it has on their health, and they believe and have evidence to show that it's contributed to their deaths, which is obviously brutal and tragic. I think that song just kicks us back into delicate moments of their memory, which I think helps us in this scene, which Hayley does so beautifully. And it was very important too that Anne, the worker from the Jobcentre, was there showing her human qualities and empathy.
They call this a pauper's funeral because it's the cheapest slot at 9 a.m. But Dad wasn't a pauper to us. He gave us things that money can't buy. When he died, I found this on him. He always used to write in pencil. And he wanted to read it at his appeal, but he never got the chance to. And I swear that this lovely man had so much more to give, and that the state drove him to an early grave. And this is what he wrote. I'm not a client, a customer, nor a service user. I'm not a shirker, a scrounger, a beggar, nor a thief. I'm not a national insurance number or blip on a screen. I paid my dues, never a penny short, and proud to do so. I don't tug the forelock, but look my neighbour in the eye and help him if I can. I don't accept or seek charity. My name is Daniel Blake. I am a man, not a dog. As such, I demand my rights. I demand you treat me with respect. I, Daniel Blake, am a citizen. Nothing more and nothing less. Thank you.
I remember scribbling those few lines in a wee cafe, and I suppose when you're making a film, you always feel a sense of responsibility to so many of the people that you've met and probably inspired it. And I remember just so many faces of people in food banks just coming to mind. People with tragic stories, people with great stories, people who are trying to maintain their dignity with a sense of humour and jokes, but also the fury that they've been treated like dogs. And so I hope it does them justice. We hope we haven't feel that we've betrayed them.
And there's so many people we need to say thank you to. One of them was in that last scene, Judy Cargill, who runs, is a brilliant headmistress, runs a school near where we did the filming, a primary school, and was a great help when we were first looking around Newcastle. So many people to thank, really, but also all the people who are going through this consciously cruel system now, which is to humiliate and subjugate people, really.
And I think that's very true. And as the titles come up there, John McCardle, Black Triangle campaign, the food banks and all these.
Dave Ginelli from Nuneaton, my hometown.
They were
Good, told us some great stories.
Yeah, and these are and in many ways we've lived off the great research that these people have done, their insight, because they know the system better than anyone. And if it hadn't been for the years of work of many activists who know the fine points, who've articulated them, I don't think we would have got half as far as we did. So an enormous thanks to them all.